Give me two and I'm gone. Now you're lost, how you lost. Dancing out of your way. Back to me, yeah. Thought I saw your face.
What up, YouTube? Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Sherry and I'm so glad you joined me today. I really appreciate it. So I'm here just to do a really quick kind of introduction and let you know about an idea that I've had and where it came from and how I'm going to begin with this. First of all, you guys know that I had a little talk with myself and God and decided that my spending was excessive. I was getting too much stuff. I wasn't using the majority of it, and it just wasn't making any sense to me. So from that point, I went on a low buy. I also got my furniture, got everything revamped, everything organized, and in the process of doing that, I put all my palettes in organizers according to brand. And I have been promising you guys for a long time that I was going to do a palette collection. So when I looked at the enormity of the collection, I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to do that in one video. It would be insanity and it would be 6 hours long. So from that point, I decided I was going to do it by brand, and I was going to show you each collection by brand. And I'm going to start with the biggest collection, the one that I have the most of, and work my way down to some that I just have a few of. And the ones that I just have a few of may be in one collective video. So that's kind of my plan and my blueprint. And I also just wanted to say that this is a lengthy process, and I don't want to just show you the palette and open it. I want to show you a few swatches and tell you about my experience with it, and just kind of do an assessment for myself and decide on which ones I think are worth keeping and which ones I need to get rid of, or maybe which ones I keep just for the sake of comparison or for videos on my channel. I hope that makes sense to you, but I just wanted to go ahead and do a little intro, let you know what my plans are. I'm going to film every single look that I use with every single palette. It's going to be called Rockin' My what? It's going to be called Rockin' Every Palette. So you can be looking for that series, and I'm going to use every palette. I'm going to get use out of what I worked my tush off to acquire. I'm not going to waste it. I'm not going to let it sit there unloved and feeling all sad and neglected. I'm going to use it. So the first brand that I'm going to talk to you about and show you my collection of is LORAC. I'll go through and show you every single one of these. I will talk to you about it. I will do some swatches for you and just give you an in-depth view into the palette. I will let you know my experience with it and everything else. So I will also kind of spread these out on my bed and take pictures so you can see the whole collection together, and we will go from there. So if you would like to see my LORAC Cosmetics palette collection, then keep on watching. Alright guys, like I said in the intro, it's probably going to be pieced together, but I think I'm going to be able to complete it today. So, I'm going to go through my LORAC palette collection for you today. I kind of want to give you a general idea of what I have and what you're going to be seeing more in depth and being put into action in my Rocking Every Palette series that is upcoming. I've already filmed some of those actually, and I thought, you know, I have all these videos that are filmed and edited and everything, pre-filmed and ready to roll, but I can't do them because I don't even have the palette collection filmed. So I'm here today after going to class for like 4 hours and going back to my classroom and working on it for several hours. And so if I look a little beaten down, it's because I am a little bit, but hopefully my brain will work and we'll get through this. So this is kind of my thinking behind it. I'm going to start with the largest and move down to the smallest and end things up with my face palettes. So the first ones that I'm going to show to you are the LORAC Mega Pros, and I have 4 of these. I believe I have all of these. I did not join the party until later in life, and the LORAC Mega Pro, the original, had been out for a long time, and they actually decided to bring it back. You know, those limited edition palettes that aren't really limited edition because before you know it, they're back again? Yeah, that was one of these. But in this case, it was the only one missing from my collection, so I was really glad that they brought it back. Let me give you a peek at it. I guess to give you an overview of the Mega Pro palettes, they advertise these as 2 rows of mattes and 2 rows of shimmers. But I will tell you, if you're interested in buying any of these, that a lot of the shimmers, I only have one quotation up, a lot of the shimmers are satins or do not come off as really shimmery. And that's something that I found out by using these recently. I do like the color combinations. I do like the color story, I guess, of this, because it has a whole bunch of neutrals and a whole bunch of colors and kind of a variety of colors, and that's what I like about this one in particular. You'll see as we move on that there's a couple of these that just kind of look muted and blah, and I'm not a huge fan of them. So I'm going to swatch some of the colors out of here that I really love. I'll show them to you on my finger, then I'll swatch them on my hand. We've got mulberry, gray, which is kind of a tealy gray, indigo, and deep teal. So those are some pretty colors. Like I said, I'm not going to swatch any of the transition colors because it's basically just every kind of undertone of mid-tone brown that you can have. But overall, I think this is probably my favorite just because of the variety. You'll see, like I said, in a couple of these, there's kind of a monotone thing going with some of these, and they don't include many pops of color, and so it's just kind of blah and underwhelming. But again, another peep at this, and I will move on to the LORAC Mega Pro 2. And if I didn't say so, these are kind of that rubberized surface, and they get really fingerprinty and dirty, but I don't know. My palettes are loved. Alright, here's the next one. And this one has a lot of light tone shades that they all look the same, and it's hard to tell what they look like until they're actually on the eye. They do have some slight differences, but this one doesn't have as many pops of color, but it does have a really beautiful blue that I really love, a nice orange, and a nice terracotta. I will swatch those for you. This is Tangerine, Goji, Forest, and this beautiful blue called Blue Quartz, and it's a shimmer. There's some swatches of those. This is probably my second favorite. I should probably go through all these and then I'll give you an assessment, like from 1 to 4, which is my favorite, going down. Because I'm probably going to say, this is another one of my favorites, and this is another one of my favorites. I fear that I am going to be a babbling mess for this entire video. Pretty sure of it. Okay, the next one is the LORAC Mega Pro 3. It's white and very dirty. I did really love the rose gold writing on it. Or actually just gold. This one is the one that I thought that I would love the most, and I actually have it on my eyes today, and I have found a way through experimentation to find a way to do looks that I really love with it, but I don't find myself going to many of the other colors other than the ones that I use to make the look that I have on today, because I'm just real underwhelmed with this palette. Whenever I bought this palette, after this, I'm like, I'm not buying any more Mega Pros. Well, they brought the next one out and it was pink, so you know the rest of that story. So I'll show you the colors that I have on my eyes today. I used tan, dusty mauve, and a combination of violet gray and eggplant. So these are all the colors that I have on my eyes today. Tan, dusty mauve, violet gray, and eggplant. Tan is real close to my skin tone. Oh Lord, just forgive me. So you can't see it very well. But these are the colors that I have on my eyes. And I really love, you guys know I love purples and pinks and mauves and burgundies. And so those colors really appeal to me. But there's not a lot more going on. Let me swatch for you pomegranate, because this is another unique shade. I guess I should show you the ones that are just kind of out of the ordinary, because this one's really pretty, and this is a kind of a satin, and it's very unique. It's almost like a tangerine color with a pink shift. You can sort of see that shift. So maybe that's one I need to visit the next time I use this palette. But just the rest of it, I'm just very, very underwhelmed with. It just, like, all this right here looks the same to me. And the colors really don't translate. Like with this eye look, what I'm trying to get, an inner corner shimmer, like I can't even find one that works. And there's supposed to be 2 entire rows of shimmers. So there's that. So the fourth is the LORAC Mega Pro 4. And this one I got because it was pink. But I was really glad that I got it because it does have some very unique colors. It's almost pastel, but there's still a lot of deeper shades. There's really not very many mid-tones, but there's lots of pastel type shades, and there's some interesting shades in here that are different than what I've seen before. And that's really what kind of intrigued me into buying this. A lot of the cooler tones, like the greens and the blues, are what excited me about this because it was very unique to my collection. I didn't have anything like it. So I'm going to swatch for you Denim, Moss, Peacock, Lagoon, and I'm going to have to go on my thumb for Fairy Tale. Fairy Tale's right there. So this is Denim, Moss, Peacock, and Lagoon. Aren't those pretty? Ugh, me and my swatches. Denim, Moss, Peacock is absolutely breathtaking. Lagoon, and underneath it will be Fairy Tale. That's on top of it, Fairy Tale. So this is Denim, and let me build up Denim because it's really a much more beautiful color than what I'm showing to you here. It's almost like a periwinkle. So Denim, Moss, Peacock, Lagoon, which looks brown right here, but it's like a really deep blue. And then there's Fairy Tale that's almost like a blue lavender shift, which is super pretty. So let me think about how I feel about these. I think I'm gonna have to say that the first original Mega Pro is my favorite. My second favorite is the 4. My third favorite is the 2. And my last, even though I like what I can wear, like what's on my eye, the number 3 is my least favorite. I'm going to clean up all my swatches and then I'll be back with just the regular Pro palettes, not the Mega Pros, just the Pros. I believe there are 4 LORAC Pros. I'm not positive. There might be 5. I know one just came out. But after the third one, I stopped buying them because I didn't like them that much. The difference between the Pros and the Mega Pros is that instead of 2 rows of matte and 2 rows of shimmer, you have 1 row of matte and 1 row of shimmer. And this is the number 2. And the reason I don't have the number 1 is because every time I went to buy it, they didn't have it. It was out of stock. And by the time it was in stock, I had already bought the other 2 and decided that I didn't like them that much. And so, anyways, it's the same kind of thing. It's just underwhelming to me, and it's not anything that I haven't seen before. And so when I first bought this, I had heard they were so wonderful, and they are still really quality shadows. When I look at it, I just am bored. Like there's nothing special about it. And what I resigned to do as I've been working through these for my Rocking Every Palette series is that just because it's underwhelming doesn't mean I can't get use out of it. And that being said, like what I mean by that is there are days that I want no nonsense looks, that I don't want a bunch of bells and whistles. I just want to get some makeup on my face and get to work. And so palettes like these are good for that, because you can come up with just a basic eye that's not going to be some fantastic thing, which, you know, I always kind of want but don't have the time to do, especially at 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm getting ready for work. So I need to remember to return to these, and that's what I've been doing. So let me talk to you about these. Again, kind of underwhelmed. There is a really beautiful shiver. There is a really beautiful silver in here, and I remember I was doing makeup for one of my co-workers' daughter for prom, and she wanted silver and black, and I remember using this a lot, and that's why I even have a dent in it, because the rest of these I don't have a dent in. And there's nothing in here that's that fantastic. Okay, there's nothing that I really want to show you other than maybe this silver, and I'll show you this plum that's very pretty. I'll show you those two. And even, to be honest, the silver really did not perform that well. It's just the only one that I had at the time. But those are pretty colors. The navy is also pretty, but it's just a navy. I mean, I don't know, some of these navies, let me do a little refresher here. And this does exactly what a lot of navies do. It pulls teal instead of navy blue, and you have to build it to get that darkness. And it's like, I don't want to work that hard for a navy blue. I don't want it to look green. I want it to look navy blue. That's probably why I don't go to this palette very much. I did see another one that kind of caught my eye just now that I've never touched, called Chrome. Let's see what it looks like. That's kind of interesting. It's kind of a dark gray, and I've swatched so many of these now, you guys, that this is like a taupey gray. It's actually really beautiful. Maybe I'm glad I did that. Maybe I'll use that whenever I do this, when I use this palette. But kind of underwhelming. But in this one, there are at least a few really cool shades that I don't have elsewhere. And so I don't feel like it's something that I need to get rid of because I have 14 others like it. I really don't. And it does have some unique shades in it. And as we continue on, my hand is getting stained. So it's requiring me to really spend some time washing it. Okay. This next one is the underwhelming of underwhelmings, and this is the LORAC Pro number 3. I mean, I honestly don't even remember why I got it, because aside from this shade, if you go like this, like what is there? Other than maybe for somebody who wants barely their makeup, it might be something really good for them. Even the packaging is kind of flesh tone and blah. I'm not even going, okay, like I have to be talked into it. I will swatch two. I will swatch for you Rose Bronze, which is pretty, and I will swatch for you Light Pewter and Medallion. My fingers are so stained. I hope it doesn't corrupt my swatches here. Light Pewter and Medallion. But even on these swatches, like you can hold these up and they look nearly identical. There's just not enough variation between these shades. They're just, I mean, and wait till you see the swatches. They're just like barely there, and there's nothing, you know, spectacular about them. If I had the choice to buy this again, I wouldn't. I don't know about the other one. I think I would probably pass on all the small LORAC Pros, except maybe the first one, which I have had to keep myself from buying that over and over again. I'm like, how many LORAC palettes do you need, Sherri? You have the 4 Mega Pros. And I'm pretty sure that most of what I would get in any LORAC Pro palette, something either identical or very similar, is in the Mega Pros. It just kind of depends on what you're looking for. If you're a makeup artist and you're actually if you're a makeup artist and you're actually using these on clients, it might be good to have those 4 Mega Pros because it is a great variety, but I still feel like there's a lot of other things that are much better than those. This is like a total downer kind of video so far, so I'm going to move into what I call the mid-size palettes, and there's a lot of these in here that do have really beautiful things that I'm very, very excited about. So maybe I'll be more enthusiastic about this next round. Okay, I'm going to start with the LORAC Unzipped. So I've got the Unzipped and I've got the Unzipped Gold. And I have to be careful with one of these. I can't remember which one. One of them I dropped, and there's a shade in here that just keeps on breaking. So this is not it. You guys, when I saw this, I thought, oh, this is so beautiful. There are some really beautiful shades in here, shades that I am in love with. Okay, let me get my complaint out of the way right from the beginning. This is the lightest matte color, which is a really deep color. Okay, there's no mid-tone, rose, pink, anything in here that keeps me from having to pull in another color. And this would be a perfect palette for me if there was one. Kind of like a dusty rose or something that's just not as deep as these two are, the two mattes here. But the shimmers in this palette are beautiful. The burgundies in this palette are beautiful. I just wish they have these two. Well, these 4 are mattes, and they're all just too deep for a transition. There's not a transition. And I never understand that because most people who do makeup now start with a transition, so it always makes me wonder when they put together palettes like this, why don't they look at it and see that there's not a transition? But maybe, I don't know. We're just going to go. Let me show you some swatches here. We've got Unbelievable, and we've got Unreal, and let me choose the deeper ones, Unattainable. And let me choose one of the really light one, which is called Undercover. They look like that. But they are super gorgeous. Super, super gorgeous. And I'm just remembering how much I love these. And I haven't touched this in years. Hence the reason why I'm doing this collection. And this is a matte white. I thought it was a shimmer. But how pretty are those? Especially like these two are like, this one's super bronzy of course, but they're beautiful colors. There is a lighter champagne, called Undiscovered. I got stuck on Under, and this is kind of a gold, a rose gold up there on top. I don't know if it's even showing. Let me intensify it a bit. Anyway, beautiful. I don't like, man, I probably shouldn't do these when I'm tired. I don't like the fact that there's not a transition shade. Aside from that, this is a perfect pink rose mauve lover's paradise. Okay, it really is. Let me swatch the 2 mid-tones because one of them's really purpley and one of them is more, I guess, brown. And that's Unconditional right there and Unspoken. And these are just too dark for my transition. Maybe they work well on a deeper skin tone, but for me, too deep. They're beautiful colors, but for me, they're the beginning of deepening my crease. They're not a transition. So I do have to pull in another palette. And I thought, when I bought the Unzipped Gold, I thought, oh, okay, I'll get that one, and that'll have a transition in it. Well, let's just see. And this is the one that I dropped, so I'm going to have to be super careful with it because the ones that broke are very crumbly, and I will just warn you that this looks like a hot mess because 2 shadows broke. But on this one, almost all the ones on this side are super light, and these are super, super dark. And so there's just not enough of a variation. So I thought, wow, well, this one will work. I thought this one might work for a transition, but it doesn't show enough to be a transition. It's still too light. But the pinks in here are gorgeous, and this super deep plum is gorgeous too. So I'll show you Unpredictable, Unlimited, Unlocked, these are the shimmers, and Unleashed. They're super gorgeous, and you can see why it's called Unzipped Gold, because these all have a very gold tone to them. Oh, that is so pretty. I need to get back into this thing for the shimmers. Look at those, you guys. They are gorgeous. I think what does it to me is like I just need to grab these and grab my favorite transition. Get Courtney from my Jeffree Star, or you know, grab Sable, my one of my favorite Anastasia singles, and use that for the transition, and then get into these. See, I'm getting a little bit excited about using these for my Rocking Every Palette series. Let me show you this super deep plum and this one that's real similar to the brown shade in the other one. And I'll just do little mini swatches. This one is kind of, it's so dark that it looks black almost, but it is a plum color. But can't you see by looking at this, don't you think that a rosy pink or a kind of a dusty mauve color would look beautiful with these? Like, I don't understand why there's no midtones. Like, I still don't understand it. And it's funny because, you know, you can't get inside someone else's mind, and you don't know how many people are actually working on these palettes. But again, look at those shimmers, you guys. They are super gorgeous, and I can't wait to get into those whenever it comes time for me to use these. But it makes you wonder, you know what I mean? It just makes you wonder what the thought process was behind them. And that's kind of one thing that I did enjoy about the Norvina palette, because whenever it came out, there was such a hype about it being Claudia's or Norvina's vision, and she told about it, and she told you where it came from, she told you what she was looking for, and so it made sense because it was explained. And maybe more brands need to do that. Maybe they need to have interviews with the people that created them and kind of explain their thought process, because I think if I understood it, even for the sake of, I made this palette for darker, deeper toned women, that would make sense to me. Well, I can make a decision at that point if it's for me or not. So, I don't know. Maybe just better communication. Okay, I've got just a couple random ones. I'm going to go ahead and talk about these two. These were Nordstrom exclusives, and I can't remember how much they cost. They were really inexpensive. I want to say like 28 bucks, and of course these are limited edition. And it was probably like 4 years ago. I ordered one for myself and one for Becky, and one of them came broken, and I kept it just because I kept it. Look how thrashed it is, you guys. The blushes broke. But these have 6 shadows and 2 blushes and a highlighter. And this one is so thrashed, I probably shouldn't have even shown it to you. And I probably shouldn't even keep it. Every time I open it, I make a mess of myself. What I need to do is go through and maybe take some alcohol and just kind of do a cleanup, because and maybe dig out all the ones that are broken, because, you know, it's just corrupting all the rest of it, and you can't even really see how pretty everything else is. I'm pretty sure I kept this because the highlight was so beautiful. Let me show you what it looks like. The shadows were not that big of a deal, but I really like the highlight in this one. It's just a really soft, pretty pink. And it would look beautiful on really light skin tones. It looks pretty on me whenever I'm kind of pale in the winter time. The other thing in here that I really liked was this dusty purple color, and then there's it's kind of a dusty gray, and then there's a blue, kind of a steel colored shimmer, and I thought those were really unique shades, and that was probably the other reason why I kept this, because these are unique colors, and they look really pretty together too. It kind of gives me that vibe of like when I was in junior high, everything needed to be gray and pink or gray and purple. I even had my friend Reba painted her walls gray and pink, and I can't remember, it had something to do with Duran Duran. Everything at that point in our life had to do with Duran Duran because we were obsessed. This second one, you can actually see. But, you know, again, you guys, it's just kind of like a basic LORAC thing. It's like underwhelming. It's beautiful for a basic palette, and it's got beautiful colors, but there's nothing spectacular or very unique about it. I do like the blush in this one. In fact, I use that for eyeshadow quite a bit. The rest of these are just kind of what you could find in any other of those neutral palettes. But I do like the pink blush, the rosy blush. I think that's super pretty. So it'll be interesting when it's time for me to use these palettes. I will try to use the blushes and the highlighters in those, or at least try to, if not for blush, for eyeshadow. Okay, I've got two left. I've got an unzipped Desert Sunset, which I probably should have included that with the unzipped, but this was a whole series of different, I can't remember the other ones because I wasn't interested in any of the other ones. It was like, I think there were 4 different ones, and this is the only one that I was interested in. And the reason I was interested in it was because of this purple. Because I had been on a search for a pigmented purple, a pretty purple, and I just love the color story here. I just think it's beautiful. There's a bunch of beautiful shades in here, and I haven't given this much love. Hey, look, you guys, there's a transition color. Yay, they got it. Like after 14 palettes, they got a transition color. But I'm going to show you some of the more unique colors. I'm going to show you Meditation, which is the purple, Sunset, which is kind of a muted cranberry. I'm going to show you Sunrise, which is kind of a melon color, and Mirage, which is an interesting kind of a pinky champagne color. Oh, that purple. And these are all really beautiful. And I don't know why I haven't touched this. I think you're going to find that in a lot of instances, you guys. I think you're going to find that I'm going to say I don't know why I haven't. This has a transition. It has a lighter shade for brow bone and inner corner highlight. It has a dark brown to deepen. I think you guys are going to find through my palette series that, or my collection series, that I'm going to say that quite often. Like, I don't know why I'm not using that. I mean, can you imagine those 3 colors together in some capacity? Like, I was hoping this would happen. I was hoping I would start going through all these and I would remember why I love these, and I would think, why haven't I been using these, and return to them. It's like, gosh, you just move on to the next best thing, the next cool thing, the next thing that intrigues you, and you forget that you already have a bunch of beautiful palettes. That's the reason why I'm doing this. So, one last one. And this is the LORAC, the Resort Eye and Cheek palette, and I will admit that the packaging of this it wouldn't have mattered what was inside, because that is so flippin' pretty. But it is very nice inside. It's a nice compact take with you on a vacation if you like this color story. It has 6 shadows, let's see. Yeah, 6 shadows, 3 blushes, and a highlight. It does have kind of a transition. It's got a couple shimmers. There's some deeper ones that you could deepen things up. Is it thrilling? No, it's not thrilling. The color that really got me was this, because I've been on the search for the perfect rose color for the longest time, and they just never come off the way I thought they were going to. This is probably the closest, and I use this for eyeshadow a lot. I found the perfect one in the Norvina, finally. But that's what really drew me in here. Let me show you what that looks like. And it's a blush, but I use it for an eyeshadow a lot. Very pretty. There's a very taupey, I guess this is a blush. I can't imagine. It says it has, oh, it's a bronzer. Okay, that's an interesting color for a bronzer. I don't believe I would use that for a bronzer. I might use that for a contour. So 2 blushes and a contour and a highlighter. Let's see about the highlighter. It's pretty. But these are real basic. There's nothing spectacular about these. They're just kind of basic. And if you want something easy, something no nonsense, I do really love this shimmer. These don't have names on them. This is a really pretty pink shimmer. Kind of a more mid-tone. There is an interesting olive shade in here. It's really beautiful. So, you know, there are some neat things in here. There's some pretty colors in here. They're not anything that, you know, you can't probably find somewhere else. But if you're going on a trip and this color story calls out to you, you have everything in a really sleek little palette. So that's it for the mid-level ones. I'm going to go get the small ones and the face ones, and then I'll be done with this. I was surprised to find that I had the most LORAC, and it's one of the larger collections out of, like, mini collections out of my larger collection. I was surprised that I had that many, but I do. So I'll be back with the others. Okay, I have got a pretty hefty stack of little LORAC palettes. I am going to go through them quickly and show them to you. I'm probably not going to swatch many because there's so many, unless there's a super unique shade in them, and most of them I can assure you there is not. A lot of these are really nice to throw in your purse whenever you need something to touch up with, or just something to have to maybe fix something that's messed up on your face and you want something small. That's what these are really good for. I had many of these little palettes that I've gotten in different, mostly holiday sets that I've decluttered. And so some of these are like part of a duo that I got rid of the other side of it because I didn't ever use it. This one here is the 1415 Pro Face. Just a tiny little trio. It's got a mid-tone, a deep tone, and I believe this is a shimmer. Yes. And kind of a shimmer for your lid or brow bone or whatever. I really like this. This is actually the second one of these that I've had. I hit pan on all 3 of the other ones. It's really good for just simple. Next, this was a duo. This is LORAC Love, Lust, and Lace. This is the shimmer part, and I also had the matte part. The matte part reminded me of the Urban Decay Naked Basics, and I had the Naked Basics. I had the Ultimate Basics or whatever that is, and I just felt like I didn't need it because I already had those shades. This is kind of basic too. They're all shimmers, but the lighter of these are very pretty and very simple. I mean, these are really pretty for wedding looks because they're just nice and subtle for somebody who wants kind of like a typical bridal look. And that's kind of why I kept it, because I thought this would be perfect. And if you wanted to deepen up outer corner, etc., you've got the 2 darker shades, even though they are shimmers, but the darker shades are satins and the shimmer doesn't really translate. So I like it for that reason. As I've said before, probably I think on my channel, I don't really love to do makeup on other people, particularly for prom or weddings, because it just gives me a nervous breakdown. Something that's that important to somebody that there's going to be hundreds of pictures, it just makes me nervous. I don't want to be responsible for a look that somebody else hates, and then every picture that they have from their wedding or their prom, they're like, oh, look how janky my eye makeup is. I just don't want to be responsible for that. This one is called LORAC Los Angeles Tails and Top Hats. This was another holiday set. I have never touched this. And again, it's kind of a bunch of neutrals, underwhelming. I don't know if I'll keep this. I have so many palettes with these colors, but I am going to give it a roll because I'm rocking every palette, and I'll make a decision then. The next one I also had, this is the second time I've had this. This one is a little bit opposite of the other black one that I had. This is a Pro I 3096. But I also hit pan and ended up getting another one of these because I liked it so much. But it's the opposite. The other one had a shimmer on this side. This one has two mattes, a transition, and a brow bone, and a shimmer dark. But the reason I like the reason I hit pan on these is because I use this for a transition in palettes like those ones that I showed you earlier that don't have transitions. And I use this for setting my primer and also for brow bone highlight on ones that don't have a matte brow bone highlight. So this is kind of like a supplementary palette for me. Next is a Get Hot eyeshadow palette. I need to wipe this in case I swatch something else. It's kind of shimmery gold packaging, and the reason I kept this is because of this color. The others, underwhelming, not special, but this one is a super pretty light coral, and I love it. So that's why I kept that one. It has a really pretty unique shade in it. That's why I kept it. Next looks kind of like navy blue snakeskin. It's called Navy Skinny Eyeshadow Palette. I'm having trouble getting it open. Everything's pretty underwhelming except for that cobalt blue color. That's why I kept this one, because that's a beautiful color. And I'm going to swatch it for you. This is what I was talking about earlier. This is actually navy. It doesn't pull green, it doesn't pull teal, it's a shimmer, it's beautiful. If you wanted to do a navy smoky eye, this would really be pretty for that. And it's navy. There's no question that it's navy, it's navy. And that's what I want, and that's why I keep this palette. Isn't that funny? I have all these little palettes for one color, but that's just kind of how it goes whenever you're looking for a particular shade and you can't find it in anything but a palette. You end up, and I don't know about you guys, I'm terrible about singles. I have lots of singles. I finally decluttered most of them because I never use them. The only singles that I ever use are in a Z palette because it's not really a single because it's in a palette. But as far as going and pulling a particular single, hardly ever will I do that. And this one is called the Mint Collection Eye Cheek Palette Collection. And there's one shade that I kept this one for. Guess what? The mint green. And now in my Mani palette, I have one similar that I like probably better than this, but this is an authentic mint green. It's super creamy. And there's also kind of a cool lavender shimmer in here. Those two. But this is the reason why I keep the palette. Because it's an authentic, real, see, that's a really pretty lavender. But my cat is trying to get in here right now, if you're wondering what that sound is. But very pretty mint green. And I don't have that color in anything else. So that's it for all the little baby palettes. And all I have left are the face palettes. Are you still with me? Have I bored you to death? Have I griped too much? You want the truth, right? You want to know what to do. You want to know what to expect from a brand. This is a good array of LORAC palettes. You can get a pretty good generalization of what you can expect from them. I will say, because I really haven't said it, as far as quality is concerned, they are very quality shadows. They are very soft, very creamy, very buttery, highly pigmented to the point that you have to be extra careful with them. I have found recently that they apply much more pigmented to unset primer. So that's something that I'll discuss in some of the other videos that I've done for you. Okay, I've got 3 face palettes. I've got the LORAC Pro Contour. This is something that I really have barely touched. And it has a good contour shade for me. It has a good bronzer shade for me. I think I'm a little afraid of the pigmentation of these. It's got a nice matte highlight and some different colors. I mean, these are nice colors. They match me well. I don't have any excuse other than I'm a little bit scared of LORAC pigmentation when it comes to face products, because I guess in my mind I think I don't want to put a stripe here that will forever not be able to be blended out, and so it's something I definitely need to give some more love to. I think what I will do is whenever when I do one of my palettes, maybe when I do it, I'll do I said I would do a variety of different videos, maybe some talk throughs, some get ready with me, some maybe on fast motion with a voiceover, or maybe not a voiceover with just some annotations. So maybe on an actual get ready with me, maybe I'll use some of these face products along with another palette. Still rocking every palette. But yeah, I need to give that face palette some more love. I do have 2 blush palettes. This one is called Cue the Confetti Highlighter and Blush Palette. And then I have, and this is the only thing I bought from the Beauty and the Beast collection, and that is the blush palette. Guys, these are my perfect blushes. And I don't really pull from blush palettes. I don't have many, for the reason that I kind of prefer single blushes. Isn't that funny? I prefer single blushes, but I don't prefer single eyeshadows. But these are beautiful, rosy pinks. And I don't know if you can even see them on my stained fingers. They're just the perfect blushes for me. They're so beautiful. And the highlighter in this is super gorgeous too. I love this palette. I am so glad that I got it. I use it all the time. I love LORAC blushes. Super stunning. And at this point, if you see this, I would imagine it's probably on sale. Scoop it up. It's beautiful. I love it, love it, love it. This other one, I kind of think that I looked at it and thought it was an eyeshadow palette and just kind of kept passing over it. I don't really know. I do like this for the fact that since I only have 2 cheek palettes, that there's a bright pink and there is a melon color. The highlighter, I'm not sure. I'm beginning to learn that sometimes really dark in the pan highlighters aren't necessarily really dark on the skin. So maybe I need to not be intimidated by it, but I'm going to swatch it and we'll see. I'm going to just swatch all 3 of the blushes. Woo! Look at that one. You better be careful with that one. Oh, that coral color is super gorgeous. Imagine you're using the Just Peachy mattes on your eyes. How beautiful would that look? And imagine you're trying to become Barbie. How perfect would that be? Alright, we're going to go into this highlighter. It looks like a bronzer to me. Let me see if they call it a bronzer. One Light Source Highlighter in Spotlight. Okay. I feel like there's something on my face. Like a hair. Me and hairs. Good gravy. Okay. Let's see what we got here. It's kind of a rose gold. I think it would look a lot better on deep skin tones. It's very bronzy. Maybe sheared out. See, to me that's not a highlighter. To me that's a shimmery bronzer. And I don't do shimmery bronzers. But that might look really beautiful on a deeper skin tone. I know it would. Let me take a moment to see what in the world is on my face. Hey, Boo Bear hair. Hey, Boo Bear hair. Okay, guys, that's all. Can you believe it? That's all. Those are all my LORAC palettes. So over the upcoming months, in between all my other videos that I'm doing, tags and tutorials and get ready with me's and my occasional whatever I get new, which you guys know is few and far between right now, I will be using every single one of these palettes. And I'm not going to continue on to reveal another collection, another brand collection until I've used all of these. And like I said before, I hope you don't get sick of this. I hope this will inspire you to get some use out of your palettes. I hope it will inspire you to rediscover old loves or to declutter some that you're never going to use again or have no use for it as far as filming or something for your channel if you have a channel. It's time for us to start using what we used our hard-earned money to buy. It makes no sense to buy something that's going to be left unloved, neglected, untouched, and just sitting there. It doesn't make sense to me. It's becoming more and more ludicrous to me, like my own behavior. And so I guess this is like an introspective examining of my heart and me doing what I need to do to fix it. Use it or don't buy it, Sherri. So that's kind of the premise behind this. I hope it will inspire you to do the same. Go dig into your collection, find something that you used to love, and see if you still love it. If you don't, give it to somebody who will. Alright, that's Sherri's public service announcement for today. I hope you enjoyed this collection, this LORAC collection, unveiling and swatch fest and, you know, gripe fest and whatever else you want to call it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the information was helpful. Let me know if there are any of these palettes, one or two of them, that you're super intrigued by and you'd like me to do a look with them sooner than later. Let me know that and I will be glad to do that for you. I have already filmed the 4 Mega Pro palettes, so those will be coming first, but after that, it's a free-for-all. So if there's something that you'd really like to see, please let me know. Okay, that's it for me, you guys. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, take care and God bless. Bye, guys.
Talk back to me, talk back to me. Wishing I was you without a care like that. Baby girl, I thought you knew we had it good.
And when I looked at the enormity of the collection, I thought there's no way in the world that I'm going to be able. So when I look at so the first brand that I'm going to introduce to you, that flew up my nose. How rude. Seriously. Let me just go ahead and swatch them on my hand. Oh, those are some expert swatches. Let me just tell you. So I am going to clean myself up and then I'll be back with what I'm going, which are the small, made 0 cents. And so that's probably why this one doesn't get a lot of work. Whew. You know, if they're unhappy with it, it's going to be memorialized. That's not even a word. It's like more and more, I can't even think of the right word. Let me know if there's one palette or several palettes that you're super intrigued. Let me know if there are 1 or 2 palettes that you are super intrigued with and you would like me to do a look with those first, like sooner than later. Let me know and I'll get to those. Is it gonna stop? I have already filmed the 4 Mega 4. I have already.
Give me 2 and I'm gone. Now you're lost, how you lost. Dancing under your way. Back to me, yeah. Thought I saw your face on a photograph. Saw you all alone and I had to ask, why you wanna go, don't you run so fast. Talk back to me, talk back to me. Moving on me slow with my heart